Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am here to speak on the Arrive scam. However, a brief coda to the previous debate. The NDP House Leader was talking about the importance of supporting Ukraine, trying to wrap himself in blue and yellow. It's important to tell the House, though, that the NDP has consistently opposed giving Ukraine the weapons it needs. In fact, I will quote from the member for Edmonton Strathcona, the NDP Foreign Affairs critic, who said last February at committee, "Some people in this committee and some members of Parliament have been calling on the government to provide lethal weapons to Ukraine. I have some concerns about that, obviously. Do you believe there are risks to provide..."
The honourable member it's on the Arrive can that he is speaking on?
I'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay. So it has to be on the Arrive can act.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Again, I want to remind the member that the subject before the House is on the question, the late show question that he had submitted.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was simply reading a quote, and I think it's on the record, that showed the NDP speaking out against giving lethal weapons to Ukraine. Ukraine needs weapons. Now, Madam Speaker, I'll speak now about the Arrive scam app. The Arrive scam app is a grotesque scandal that I think many Canadians are seized with. It's actually more like a family of scandals. It's a number of different scandals that are interrelated. The government spent $54 million developing an app, far, far, far in excess of what has been spent on apps before. They spent $54 million developing this glitchy app that didn't work, that sent many Canadians into quarantine who shouldn't have been in quarantine. Now, in the process, they hired not a major company, a company with IT expertise. They hired GC Strategies, a two-person company that is working out of their basement, that does no IT work, and they simply subcontract all of the actual work. It would be like, Madam Speaker, if you hired me to paint your fence for $100, and I hired the member for Winnipeg North to paint the fence for $20, and then I pocketed $80, and he did all the work, and you were sort of fine with that arrangement. That's what has happened consistently, Madam Speaker. I think Canadians have a grave problem with why this two-person company that did nothing got all the work. The RCMP is now investigating these contractors. Meanwhile, we have an admission that fraudulent resumes were submitted to the Government of Canada by GC Strategies. And we have senior public servants accusing each other of lying over who is responsible for the choice to hire GC Strategies. Now, we need an answer from the government on this, because we've tried to ask senior public servants, and they've accused each other. They said, it wasn't me, he chose GC, no, someone else chose GC Strategies. And you can understand, given the fact that this company with no IT experience that did no work was hired, you can understand why nobody wants to take credit for that decision, right? But the government needs to explain, because it was a decision made by the Government of Canada. So in the midst of these structural problems in contracting, fraudulent resumes, and public servants accusing each other of lying, will the government finally tell us, and this is my question, who is responsible for choosing GC Strategies for ArriveCan? Who is responsible?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Services and Procurement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As previously indicated in this House, we take these allegations seriously. And as the member is aware, a matter is under investigation by the RCMP. And we have full confidence in our national law enforcement agency. But let's be clear, the RCMP Commissioner stated in October 23rd of this year, and I quote, "Contrary to public reporting, the RCMP is not investigating the ArriveCan matter. The confusion may arise from the fact that we are investigating a file based on allegations brought by Bottler AI," end of quote. And we trust that they'll pursue this investigation with integrity. And should the RCMP find any wrongdoing in that matter, then they'll pursue any charges as appropriate. Additionally, CBSA has also launched its own internal audit. And even though GC Strategies and Bottler AI did not have a contract with the government, and notwithstanding this, it's important for CBSA to review the contracting and provide more rigor in the procurement process, in part by increasing oversight in granting of contracts and in those who hold contract authority. In the meantime, Madam Speaker, the CBSA has suspended some of existing contracts until the agency gets further clarity on the facts. And although these allegations and investigations are not specific to ArriveCan, we recognize it may also yield findings relevant to that procurement. And as you may know, the CBSA and the Public Health Agency of Canada have also engaged with the Office of the Auditor General on performance audit of ArriveCan. And we await the Auditor General's findings and recommendations. And once again, we'll respond to all findings and ensure that any acts of wrongdoing have consequences. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member Sherwood Park for Saskatchewan.
Madam Speaker, that great fog of a non-response obviously gets nowhere close to the question that I asked, and I'll repeat it. We have the Arrive scandal, $54 million that was spent on an app that should have cost much, much less. Money was spent through a company that did no IT work and subcontracted all the actual work. And so we need to know who's responsible. Who made the choice to hire GC Strategies? And we have senior public servants, Cameron McDonald, Min Doan, accusing each other of lying about who's responsible. Somebody had to be responsible. This government made the decision to give the money to GC Strategies for the Arrive scam app. So it's a simple question. I'll ask it a couple times. Who was responsible for the decision to hire GC Strategies? Again, who was responsible for the decision to hire GC Strategies for the ArriveCan app? Finally, to the parliamentary secretary, who was the person responsible for hiring GC Strategies? Just
The honourable parliamentary secretary.
Madam Speaker, the government takes these allegations seriously and will act on any investigation and audit findings to ensure that controls, oversight,
The member had an opportunity to ask his question. I would ask him to please offer that respect back. It was very quiet when he was making his statement. Please allow the honourable parliamentary secretary to answer. Thank you very much. The honourable parliamentary secretary.
Appreciate that, Madam Speaker. And as I said, we will act on all the findings and ensure that controls, oversight, and stewardship over contracting are strengthened. The CBSA and the RCMP are investigating certain allegations, and they will act appropriately on those findings. And ahead of that, the CBSA had already launched its own internal audit of contracting and has increased its oversight on granting of contracts. The agency has also directed all employees with contracting authority to retake procurement training and certification. Furthermore, the CBSA has suspended some contracts until the facts are clear. And once again, Madam Speaker, we take all allegations seriously, and we will act on its findings and on the facts to provide Canadians with proper services and value for money.